Rush.
Hello everyone, welcome to the review show here with Kieran Kyo. I'm here, of course, part of my YouTube channel, of course, The Coaster's Kingdom. I am here to review a game today, and one of my games that I really love. It's actually part of a series of episodes I'm going to be doing now, going back over all the Legends wrestling games that have come out over the years. 2004 was the year. Of course, Acclaim was the company that made Showdown Legends of Wrestling. It had, of course, two prequels, which were, of course, the first one being in 1999 or 2000, I think, and that was, of course, Legends of Wrestling. And that, of course, it was okay. It was pretty mediocre. Probably on the lower side of mediocre. Probably wasn't exactly as good as it could have been at the time. The games were starting to transition into the second generation console. Of course, PlayStation 2 would have been 4, and I think it was 2000 that would make it, or 2001. But Legends of Wrestling featured about, I think it was 20 of the world's greatest legends, and that it was a good alternative to the likes of SmackDown that was out at the time, and ECW and WCW's games. But it was very limited on the amount of legends it could use because of the license. Vince McMahon, of course, has license to all the major legends. At the time, he had license to a lot of legends that were still active in their respective companies. But I understand the game sold well for the fact that it wasn't great, but for the time it was pretty good. So Legends of Wrestling wasn't too amazing. Then we go forward to June 2002 and the release of Legends of Wrestling 2. And in Legends of Wrestling 2, of course, it had the famous Superstar theme by Saliva, of course, that metal band. Of course, that was the theme to WrestleMania 18 earlier in the year, but it actually was the theme to the game Legends of Wrestling 2 as well. Of course, the cover guy for the game, as always, was Hulk Hogan. It featured 4 stars from the UK, Giant Haystacks, Big Daddy, the Masked Man, of course, Kendo Nagasaki, and of course it also featured one more wrestler from that time in the UK. Who was it again? Let me think. I forget. But it did feature 4 of the British legends, and that was nice kind of alternative. The arenas the game had, as I said, in the first game, the arenas were, there was only one arena you could play in, that was the Legends Arena. But in the second game, the arenas were very plentiful, probably about 15 arenas, I think I remember. And it were based on where they weren't based on the events or anything. It was just where the shows were taking place. Maybe, I think it had the Madison Square Garden Arena, the famous Moscow Arena, a few others. Legends wise, the game had over 50, I think, at the time. Yes, it was over 50 legends. Very good selection of legends, but the game could have been better play wise. It was played out very much like WWF Attitude style stuff. Maybe a bit better than the likes of Attitude, but it was very similar the way it played out. It's a good game, worth having a look at, having a few games off, but today, I don't think you would be too. It's 10 years ago, and it was good at the time, it was brilliant at the time, but today it wouldn't play well. But for a retro gamer like myself, and like some of the rest of you, and a retro old school wrestling fan, you would be big into it, I'm sure. But now it's the one we're concentrating on. Showdown Legends of Wrestling. The game that was probably the biggest thing for any old school fan that was especially aimed toward the WWF. Showdown Legends of Wrestling, of course, made by Acclaim. It was like the first time in a game that Acclaim actually raised the bar as far as their performance in game making goes. They of course got a lot of licenses to bring in a lot of big names, including for the first time the Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage, Jake the Snake Roberts, Mr. Perfect, Ravishing Rick Rude, and Sting all came into the game for the first time in Legends of Wrestling 3 Showdown. It has 20 of the great old school arenas. Some great talent as far as just a great game, greatly made. The game had a few glitches which were the downfall of the game, proved to be the downfall of the game. The glitches and that kind of spoiled it to an extent. Was kind of disappointing, because you have the likes of Bobby the Brain Heenan and Tony Schiavone and of course Larry Zbyszko doing commentary on the game, and a lot of the sayings very, very repetitive, but that lasts till today in the WWE games. It's not repetitive through glitching, but it's just is repetitive in the commentary. It's not a good addition to a game, but anyway, considering the NBA and the NFL and the FIFA, all them are releasing games for their respective sports and making them brilliant as far as commentary goes. Very, very detailed, everything detailed. But as far as Acclaim's Showdown Legends of Wrestling, the glitching in the commentary and a few glitches in the game and the matches and stuff, everything, every game, every match you would play in the game, there was glitches, which was a big downfall as far as Acclaim goes, and kind of proved to be the demise of Acclaim and wrestling games a lot. It was probably their last major wrestling game, I understand. I think it was. Acclaim stopped making them after the unfortunate demise of it there, because of the glitching and the probably the downfall off that particular game. Showdown Legends of Wrestling. Showdown, of course, featured some great wrestlers, including the Macho Man, as I mentioned. It was the last game the Macho Man featured in before he was, of course, in WWE All Stars more recently. Later in this series of episodes, I'll be featuring WWE All Stars, which was out just last year. But as far as Showdown Legends of Wrestling, the game modes that you can do in Showdown are, of course, Exhibition, Extreme Rules, which is pretty good, Ladder Match, Tag Team, all the usual. Very much old school based because of the era. There wasn't many matches in this time, of course, back in the 80s, 90s time. This is more based on the 80s and 90s, this game, whereas the other Legends of Wrestling 2 was more based on the 70s, 80s and 90s. Probably more 70s and 80s. But as far as Showdown Legends of Wrestling, the best game mode in the game, in my opinion, well, of course, you could also you go through the decades. You could start your career in the 70s, go through to the 80s, and then go into the 90s, and that would be your path of your career path in the game. Very, very good addition to it. This is the game, of course. Showdown Legends of Wrestling. You see Hulk Hogan on the front, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, and of course Jake the Snake Roberts and Sting. At the back, of course, all the big names there. You've got Finish the Feud at the top, of course, and then it says Hulk Hogan headlines the Ultimate Supercard with over 70 wrestling icons. Now you have to like that. But anyway, that is Showdown Legends of Wrestling. Great game. When that came out, actually, Vince McMahon was in tenterhooks. He was very, very upset at them having the, as he would say, the audacity to stoop to the level and bring in so many big legends in a game that wasn't the WWE. And then shortly after that, of course, TNA opened its doors thanks to founder Jeff Jarrett and Dixie Carter, and McMahon had competition yet again. As I was saying, the best game mode in the game, Showdown Legends of Wrestling, has to be the 8-man tags, because no other game in the wrestling world or in the history of wrestling games, no other game has allowed you to have an 8-man tag to this day. That was actually 8 years ago, and when this game came out 8 years ago, 2004, and to this day, we have not been allowed to have 8-man tags. That is terrible. As far as, you have to be able to do that in a wrestling game, no doubt about it. You definitely do. The game, in my opinion, will get, for its greatness, I would say, it is a great game, but has the glitch problem. It also doesn't have copyrights to the arenas. It can't have WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, or any of the WCW pay-per-views, Super Brawl, Halloween Havoc, Fall Brawl, War Games, World War III, or any of the rest of them. So it has to settle for a claim written in the way that the logo of them events are. And that's kind of attractive in a way, but in another way it's kind of off-putting. So for a detail fan, somebody that's into detail in these games, that was a bit of a downer, but at the same time it was cool to have that, getting that progress and that you could have these things in. But little did we know, 8 years on, we could create our own arenas in WWE 12, so it's all good stuff. Showdown Legends of Wrestling, I give it a generous 6.5 out of 10. Really love the game, still play it from time to time as an interesting alternative to the other big games that's out, including the next game in our next show, Legends of WrestleMania. But as far as Showdown Legends of Wrestling, 6.5 out of 10, probably for the whole overall. Presentation wise, very good presentation, good menus, looks good, very retro. Probably would give it 8 out of 10 for that. Probably gameplay wise, I would give it 6 out of 10. Probably overall 6.5 to 7. Maybe give it a 7 overall. So 7 out of 10 for Showdown Legends of Wrestling. So, folks, here's to you, and we'll see you next time here on the review show with me, Kieran Kyo. Kyoster over and out. See you then.